All right, it's got a great story today. We're in my old neighborhood, the West Village. I love it here. It is so cute on the corner of, where are we? Barrow and Bedford. Here's the story. Got an American kid, born in Brooklyn, raised in the Bronx. His parents had a restaurant up there. So we grew up in the restaurant business. You know, Italian got a restaurant in the Bronx. Gets this crazy idea one night after he watches a video called Jiro Dreams of Sushi, or whatever it was called. He wants to open up not just a sushi restaurant, but a very specific kind, and he wants somebody from that movie. He's not gonna get Jiro or Jiro's son, that's for sure, but he pulls off a coup.
Horse. Horse mackerel. Yes, horse mackerel, yes.
He gets the other dude. And then a restaurant called CHUMLEY'S that was really like an old New York watering hole, been here forever, you know, famous literati hung out here, everyone hung out here, firemen, was a New York thing in the West Village. Building almost fell down, 10 years it lay vacant, fallow. He took over CHUMLEY'S and just turned it into this incredibly cool restaurant now. Great food, great bar program, heavy on whiskeys.
The rabbit is a hot plate.
And the chef, Victoria Blandley, is amazing. So, you know, CHUMLEY'S is back. The room is super charming. I mean, it's like Minetta kind of, but tighter and vintage and gorgeous. And this Sushi Nakazawa is like the best sushi I've ever had. It is state of the art. The place is amazing. So, block apart, West Village, Old New York, New New York, sushi, Japan, the Bronx. It's a mashup. It's a New York story. That's the show. I'm Mike Colameco, industry insider. Been in the business my whole life, and I know what it takes to succeed. Each week we'll take you into real kitchens, filmed in real time. Backstage passes to a day in the life of chefs, restaurateurs, and their teams. The competition's fierce. Careers, life savings, and reputations hang in the balance. These are my people, and this is their passion. And that's what's next on Mike Colameco's Real Food. Mike Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colavita, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.
Very fresh. Stop. Sorry.
Working late hours, especially being in the restaurant business, you just never get to see your family.
Right. Alessandro Borgognon grew up in the restaurant business. His parents ran a popular eatery in the Bronx. In an unlikely but true story, inspired by a documentary he watched one night, he'd go on to open one of the most highly regarded sushi restaurants in New York, and then follow that with the renovation and reopening of the West Village classic CHUMLEY'S, where as beautiful as the room is, this time the food is the star attraction.
So I get home, my wife turns around to me, she goes, "I'm done with all your nonsense." She goes, "This is definitely not a way of living." So you know what, relax, let me go take a shower. I love you, watch a movie. We ended up watching Jiro Dreams of Sushi. At the end of the night, I thought it was such a fantastic flick that I was still I wake up in the morning, I'm still thinking about it. I go online. You just know that you're not going to get Jiro. He's 90 years old.
He's not coming to New York.
He's not coming to New York City. So I went on the credits and I found my partner Nakazawa, Daisuke Nakazawa. I said, you know what, let me take a shot. I actually write an email with Google Translate. I sent it to him. I told him what I did, what I wanted to do, and I left my number beneath it. 2 weeks after, I get a phone call from him.
And you were in Seattle at that time?
Yes.
Working in a restaurant?
Yes. Sakai-sama.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
In the interim of communicating, he thought I was absolutely out of my mind and I wasn't serious about the idea of bringing him here and opening up a restaurant. So what I did was, I made an e-ticket for him and a hotel stay, and I said, here it is. I said, I'll pick you up at the airport. This is how serious I am. And, we went from there.
Alright, next, this is the scallop, still ripe.
How did you manage to get that job at Jiro? Such a small, unique operation. What drew you to him?
Like 15 years ago, Jiro-san, not famous as now. I find for the paper.
The job, you know, basically.
An
a
advertisement?
classified ad, and that he was looking for someone.
Somebody. And then you began that long, long, long apprenticeship.
Yes, before I have hair. Hi, thank you for in cherry salmon, Japanese citrus.
You know, this deal wasn't made overnight. This was something that basically was a 6-month, a little bit more, maybe an 8-month process, right? And you know, it took multiple different trips back to New York City before he even decided to say yes to me. Which I got to tell you, that's a big commitment, especially someone that does business in a quick way and is from New York City. To understand it and to be patient with it.
Yeah, there's
was tough.
huge cultural differences too. So it's just I think our DNA is a little bit different on
A
this
little
side of the Atlantic.
Okay, this one still live.
Wow. And I thought I had fresh scallops before. What is this?
This is a sake sauce.
It's really hard to describe flavors, but that scallop is so sweet. So, I always said like raw scallops are better than oysters. It's one of the most amazing seafoods for me raw. These are off of the New England coast. Do you know where the scallops are from?
This one from Massachusetts.
Massachusetts,
Maybe,
yeah, like
maybe,
probably New
maybe,
Bedford, big
yes.
scallop. That was incredible. And
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. This is a golden eye snapper.
So, you had the guy. Did you know the concept? Because you're kind of unique. We should mention it's just sushi. There is no sashimi. There is no cooking. There is no tempura. And this squid's Japanese?
Yes, this is one called big fin leaf squid.
The menu's set every night. Everyone eats the same thing. It's 20 courses, 21 courses of fish, rice, and seasoning. Is that what you had in mind?
Well, it's not what I had in mind, but it's what we discussed. And in a partnership, almost any partnership, you both have to be on the same page and discuss everything. So at the very beginning, when he said, no, we're going to only do sushi, I said to him, you're out of your mind, you're crazy. I said, we're doing this in New York City. I said, you are absolutely crazy.
Because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Right.
And once again, I took a leap of faith into what he was saying to me, and I trusted him, as he trusted me with multiple different things, and we went forward.
はい、どうぞ、next ね。さよならシュリンプ。
There's no place to hide with this food. It has to be perfect. The rice has to be perfect. The fish has to be perfect. To get where you're going, you need great sourcing and you need technique. That long 20-course meal, sometimes the fish was blowtorched for a second, sometimes it was a little bit longer. When you're thinking of fish, rice, and a finished dish,
はい、behind you.
how are you thinking about temperature?
California sushi. Japanese sushi. Two kinds of sushi. I change temperature for each fish. Each fish has light temperature. Tuna handle, we try adjust each fish. I put the same temperature rice. I change different amount of ingredients, and I try fusion in my hand.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that shine on that. So simple. And sourcing the fish, you're using as much domestic as you can.
As much domestic, we want to stay as local as we possibly
Right,
can
like
be,
the
and that is
scallops
being
are-
Japanese, utilizing the waters that you have around you.
Right, scallops and the shrimp were both domestic.
But I think the key word here is we search and outsource the best product that we can possibly find. So if it's not coming from the States and we found it in Japan, we get it from Japan. If we found it in Spain, we get it from Spain.
Medium for tuna. Tuna.
I think the most important part here is I think each piece of nigiri has its own characteristics. I think doing research when we were doing our due diligence, we went to, I can't tell you how much sushi I probably ate. And you would find that every piece that you had at whatever location it was or whatever restaurant it would be had similarities and tasted the same, and the fish was, you couldn't tell the difference, and the rice was cold. We didn't want it to be that way. What we wanted was each piece of fish should shine in its own specific way, and that's what you get here.
That fatty tuna. So good. I mean, to me, so much of this is both the flavor and the texture is so important, and the texture is it just melts. It's incredible.
I also believe that this restaurant has multiple different layers that make it really great and successful. It's not only the product that he's putting out, it's everything that's going on in the front of the house.
Yeah,
We've created something in the front of the house that you wouldn't get at your typical or regular Japanese restaurant.
Right.
You know, when we first created it we decided to put, sake in beautiful glassware. We decided that the service shouldn't be Japanese or Asian in any way, that we wanted more of a French Italian type of influence. And that was something that wasn't seen until Sushi Nakazawa had opened.
So we're going to look back up north in Japan to Yamagata Prefecture. This is from a house called Jokigen. This time, kind of a continuation of the last style where we're not adding yeast directly to the fermentation vessel.
To have Garrett here, like pairing stuff, it's just great. If there's a sommelier on the floor of a restaurant, I'm always much happier to have them pair than me staring at a list trying to make matches. So you've almost created this sort of Western style front of the house dining room experience with this incredibly authentic Japanese flavor behind it.
For sure. I think what we did best with this restaurant specifically was that we attempted to go out and grab the best players that we possibly can in that one field. So if it was beverages that we were speaking about, we thought Garrett was a perfect fit. If it was going out looking for captains or servers, or we went out and attempted to get the best that we possibly can. We just didn't settle on anything. And I think it shines and shows.
Charlie Palmer steak, I remember.
As you can see, on Metro D there, on Metro D.
Charlie Palmer steak, I remember him in the house, yo.
It just made sense. We found pieces that fit and made sense and were perfect. And I think when you develop a concept and when you develop a business and you have a clear vision and you're not confused or there's no gray areas, you know what you need and what you want, it's very, very simple in making those choices.
ちょうどその余白が書かれてて、それがここで埋まってるんだろうね。This is the Amber Jack.
All right, so you take this great leap of faith with this restaurant, and you just hit it out of the park. I mean, it's crazy. A concept that no one had done. You got 4 stars from the times you're packed. It's hard to get in this place. Literally, reservations are done a month in advance at midnight, 30 days before.
30 days.
And usually within 6 or 7 minutes, you've seen this. You've gone online.
45 seconds.
Gone.
Gone.
Go. This is the Golden Club with crab innards. Egg custard. ね。はい、last piece of Omakase egg cake. Thank you very much today. どうもありがとうございました。
Chef, thanks for being in New York.
Thank you very much.
You're such a great addition
thank
to
you.
the culinary landscape. Real pleasure.
Thank you.
Ordering a clear tartare, rabbit, crab, and a burger.
So Chumley's has been here forever. I mean, anyone that's ever lived in the West Village, as far back as you go, has some Chumley story. We know it historically. It was this great kind of bar, restaurant, watering hole for New York artists, New York writers. But the building was literally falling down.
What happened was a portion of the building collapsed. The building was basically never maintained. So about 10 years ago, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, part of the building collapsed in, where the fireplace used to be.
You have a ham hock.
Oh, it's the ham hock one.
Yeah.
Ham hock and foie or something?
Yeah, ham hock, foie gras, smoked cherries that are cooked in cognac, and shiitake mushrooms. It's a play on something Chilean as well.
That's gorgeous, chef. How long ago was that made?
I made it last night.
Last night, okay.
At 3 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, a lot of mise en place. So is everything else on the menu.
I've heard.
Since filming this, Chef Victoria Blamey is no longer cooking at Chumley's, but her work there in 2017 impressed Pete Wells enough to place Chumley's on his year-end Best 10 Restaurants of 2017 list, specifically citing her talent.
When I was renovating Sushi Nakazawa, my contractor turns to me and says, "Oh, my friend has a bar around the block. He hasn't been open in about 10 years. He's having a difficult time." He goes, "You should speak to him." He goes, "Maybe you could help him out with something." I said, "All right." I said, "Listen, I'll tell you the truth. I had 100 other things going on." I said, "I don't really have the time." I said, "What's the name of this bar?" He goes, "I think it's called Chumley's." I said, "All right." I went home that night like I do with Nakazawa. I looked it up. I said, "Holy," I said, "this place has 100 years of history." I said, "Wouldn't it be great bringing it back?" I actually meet the old owner of the establishment, which was a firefighter. I negotiated a deal, I took it on, and here we are now.
What do you call it on the menu?
I think we put actually Chumley sauce.
It's crazy. I mean, this is like an hour-long process to make.
Ask him, it's more than an hour. You have carrots, jalapenos, onions, and mango. So mango is what gives you that sweetness.
Whoa. What's that big white thing on top?
The bone marrow.
Look at that marrow melting, dude.
Punch it out. So right here you have huckleberry, hibiscus powder. We're gonna go rutabaga last, big kimchi, and then duck, licorice salt, lime zest, and the mix of pierre pois that you were asking about today.
What CHUMLEY'S was back then isn't now. We've tried to maintain all the historical aspects. When you walked into CHUMLEY'S,
Yeah.
we wanted you to feel.
It looks like Minetta. You walk in, it looks like,
Wow.
wow.
You felt it. This is CHUMLEY'S.
Yeah.
This is what went on. The history still lives, still survives, but we wanted to change certain aspects. And I can't blame the neighborhood for being worried or concerned about certain things. You know, people used to spill outside of CHUMLEY'S. It's at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're having cocktails and you're drinking. There was a lot of positive. There was also a lot of negative. So what we changed all that into is just positive.
Pass me quail, I played it on the pass.
So we filmed with you 3 years ago or something like that when
Probably.
you were chef de cuisine at El Buco Alimentari. I had never met you before that.
No, you did not.
And I never had a chance to do like a proper interview then because somebody else was floating around that day and we was 2 locations. But now we're going to get your story. What's your background? What got you into cooking?
I think I've been cooking forever since I was like 10. My first book, I got it when I was 7.
Cookbook.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It had a little bear that said learning how to cook with a little wooden spoon.
Do you still have that book?
Oh yeah, I do. But I was studying history at the beginning, and then at one point I was just cooking way too much, or like more than just reading books. And I think at one point I was like, I think I'm wasting my time.
So you're studying history in college?
Yeah, I
Okay.
went to college, and then obviously I was like, I think I'm gonna just drop and do this. And my mom was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I am 1,000% sure. She's like, are you sure? Because you wanted to study literature, and then you studied, history, and then now, and I was like, no. I promise. She's like, okay, that's fine. I support you.
Now,
And
this
that
is
was
here in the
that.
States or in Chile?
No, this is in Chile.
Chile, okay. You're going to start with?
Eclair?
Perfect.
Yeah?
Yes.
So then I want to put
Paris
this away.
eclair.
Yep. So right now we have the lobster stock, the butter. I'm gonna add on the milk powder, sugar, salt. And then I'm gonna add on the flour, exactly.
Pain in the ass to make pâte choux.
But you're gonna pipe, so it's all good.
No.
I am so excited to see that. Oh yeah.
So at some point, did you do cooking school or just skip
Yeah,
that?
I did.
You did?
So I dropped college and then I went to cooking school for 3 years. I used to buy Gourmet magazine, and in Santiago, I know, right? So then I was reading and I read about Gordon Ramsay. So I sent an email. I wrote a letter. They replied within in 2 days. They were like, yeah, of course we can do this. We can accommodate blah, 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 blah.
Which kitchen was that? Which
The
restaurant?
Savoy Grill.
Okay. That's gold.
Yeah, that's gold powder. So when I got here after Spain, because I also went to Spain and Australia.
Spain and Australia.
Yeah.
Spain is in like.
The Mugaritz.
Gotcha,
I
that's
spent
what I
time
thought.
there, and I spent a year in Melbourne after England. I spent 2.5 years in England.
Okay.
Then when I got here, I was like, okay, my first thing was like, I loved Corton. And I was like, that's the only place I want to go. So you can try it to see if the lobster flavor.
The beauty of pâte choux is all this air. That's the whole point of pâte choux.
Yeah, then the good thing with the lobster is that it's very, even though it has, mayo, make it a little spicy. And the lime zest gives you it's very subtle. So it's not really like this rich mayo, like Hellmann's flavor.
Like lime zest lifts it up because the
Yeah,
acid.
yeah, for sure.
What's he putting in now, chef?
So now he's putting serrano chilies in it. So we put crushed hazelnuts in it, put them on top of the lobster, and that's it.
I guess you could call this a lobster roll, but I think she's elevated the game a whole bunch on this. The pâte choux is amazing. One more bite and I'm done. Heaven.
Guys, I need crab and ponzu up.
The one thing about Victoria is that she is probably the toughest young lady chef that you'll ever meet. Her personality is really stern. She's very serious about what she does, never content, and thinks that everything isn't perfect. That's what made me fall in love with her.
Yeah, I kind of got that sense spending a day or two at the kitchen. I'm like, holy, like you look at the menu and it's like the most basic pared down verbiage. It's like, here's the protein, here's a vegetable, it's like da-da-da. And then the food comes, it's like, no. Like, are you serious, girl? So what did he brush on the Campachi, chef?
Just olive oil. We have this picual olive oil from Spain. Some Jacobsen salt, which is something similar to Malden salt.
It's a British sea salt.
He's using belly right now. Usually we give you like belly and loin. We make that dressing every day. 80% rice wine vinegar sugar, palm sugar, tons of chili, and kaffir lime, and the cherries. Nasturtiums are spicy, so I like that. And then I love raw radish and the shallot. I love the shallot, almost like a ceviche. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So Chumley's is funny. I mean, you sort of wanted it to be kind of like a classic bar with really good food, but kind of bar-ish food, right? Not tweezer food,
No.
not like. But what did you have
Well,
in
it
mind?
is
You tell
tweezer
me.
food because you saw the tweezer come out.
Turns
correct?
out to be. What did you?
So I didn't know what tweezer food was until I ended up meeting. I didn't know exactly how it was going to be.
Until you saw the tweezers.
But I did know in the interim of meeting with her, and I said to her, listen, these are my thoughts. I think we're creating a new restaurant. This is the concept. This is the food that I would like to serve. I think will complement the type of atmosphere that we're creating.
I know it sounds a little arrogant, but I was like, I've been working for 12 years in great places, sacrificing so much. I was like, I don't want to do bar food. I want to have a restaurant. I want to do food. So he's like, no, it's gonna be a restaurant. And I was like, okay.
Did he have a concept for what he wanted?
I think so, but he was very open.
Open to what you wanted to do.
And then he said, what do you think? And I think that's when the conversation was way more fluent. And I said, fluid. And I said, I don't see pub food. I don't see like finger food. I see, like a playful, fine dining, casual spot that I can navigate. This is a cherry ice cream. It's actually more a sherbet. It has yogurt. We make a mix of milk powder, milk base. Then later we mix it with cherry puree. We have the cookies pre-baked with the almond flour, black cocoa, creux de cacao, vanilla. And then we punch out and build. Now, this also has been like a growing pain. People love this. It's really annoying.
That's what you want. When it's so popular, you can't take it off the menu.
No, I just think
Where'd you
it's
get these plates? Because they look like old, grandma plates.
Right? I went with Vito shopping. It was really difficult.
Yeah, I have stuff like this and I never use them.
We knew that having something organic or too much like stone, it wouldn't fit here. They don't make sense.
Right. What's that you
like
put it
back
in?
the day. It's a gold paper. We fold it. But it's the same thing that we use for the eclair. Yeah, so that's it. That's your sandwich.
The one most important thing that people know us for is I have a tremendous reputation here in Nakazawa, correct? Mm-hmm. So I got to live by that. And if I created or went forward in creating something that wasn't what people, I didn't meet those expectations, that would hurt me a little bit.
So here we have chicken fat. The fat is important because the rabbit is so lean. That's gonna go in the rationale, okay? I made an allium stock with garlic, shallots, Chardonnay vinegar, fish sauce, and then you have noilly prat as well.
Wow.
We char the scallions and we burn the fig leaves. And then just dust some of the rice.
That's just there basically for texture. How do you toast the rice?
You just 180 or 350 on the oil, and then with a chinois, it's like it's like super
frying
old
them.
school. Yeah, they're black. You have your sauce ready, and then if you want to smell,
I do.
it's really funny for me to have a dish like this. It is really simple looking, right? It is very homey, but you know what I mean? To like, oh my God, I would make this. I don't know, when you were growing up, you will wait. It's like carrots are overcooked, the peas, and then finish with some of
Burnt?
that fig leaf. Growing up, I had a fig tree.
Yeah, we all did.
I'm thinking of fig leaves and how to cook with them, and then I was like, maybe just burn them. And
Burnt
I'm just
fig leaf.
burn them, and I was like, kind of like I like it. And that's it.
Just a block away on Carmine Street's one of my favorite guys in the city, Rick Kelly, New York Luthier. He makes guitars from old recycled wood. You've seen him on this show before. And, yep, you guessed it, he's made a few guitars from this Chumley's wood. Let's go down and see Rick. So, you have wood from the old Chumley's that was just getting tossed out that you've made guitars with.
Absolutely.
You made one for somebody named...
Bob Dylan.
I think the guy won the Nobel Prize, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. You can see this is Chumley's, that's Chumley's, all that's Chumley's. It's all the same wood. The whole city was built from this white pine that was harvested in the 1800s. It was all old growth timber. big giant trees, and they pretty much built every one of these old 1800s buildings out of this wood. Is all framed out. I call it the bones of old New York because it's what frames these old buildings. Same kind of wood, it's all white pine, and it just makes a great guitar, real resonant, a lot of vibration, and really warm sound.
Every project needed to make sense in order to have this company really shine. So owning a great, one of the greatest Japanese, I think one of the greatest Japanese restaurants in America, that was a plus. And then owning really a piece of New York history, that's priceless.
Yeah, and the food's really amazing. She's a badass. And so it's so funny. What, the bar's kind of whiskey-centric. Was that also for,
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted it to be whiskey-centric. Number one, we wanted it to be like, as it would be in the 1950s, 60s.
Only the whiskey's a lot better now. So this is it. This is Indian. From where in India?
Yes.
Southern, northern?
Goa, India.
South. Who knew? Indian whiskey.
It's peaty. It's kind of higher proof than a lot of.
It's
I don't
peaty.
want to say a lot of Scottish whiskeys, but
In the 90s, under 100?
it's 111.
Whoa, so it's like cask strength.
Almost, yeah.
Phew, that's a gorgeous color. Can you see that? Look at that, like amber. It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's powerful though. It's hot.
Yeah, the tricky thing about whiskeys, because now there are so many, you really have to try to ignore packaging, ignore marketing, and really learn how it's made. And of course, most importantly, if you like it.
Dude, great story. Love it.
Please, I appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank
Keep
you.
it up. Keep it up.
I try.
Mike Colameco's Real Food is brought to you by the continuous, generous support of the following underwriters.
Extra virgin olive oil from Colameco, an Italian family brand.
Rachel Ray's signature specialty food line, designed for preparing meals at home.